I know it's hard to stay strong at times, but I want you to understand this, and I really want you to hear me. Strength is not shown in how fast you can move forward, on how you're conquering life. You know, your greatest strength is shown in your hardest moments. That's when true faith, true strength is shown. And so I want to just tell you that you're stronger than what you think, because you have overcome everything that you're getting through, everything that you've been through. And I know this message might not be for everybody, but it might be for you at some point in your life, because they say either you're going through a struggle, coming to a struggle, or getting out of a struggle. And it's just a part of life. But I do want to tell you this and ask you this question, because it changed my life. And I was on the trails thinking about this. And I talk about this in my book, Protect Your Peace. A lot of times we don't feel like life is worth living, or it's just tough because our worth is attached to the wrong things. And I want to ask you that question. Like, what is your worth attached to? Like, what are you allowing to determine your worth and how you feel about yourself? Because if it's something external, whether it be people, whether it be position, whether it be pleasing people's perception, whether it be your bank account, and I get it, it's life. So it's hard not to feel a certain type of way when those things aren't going right. But when you tie your worth to these things that you can't control, to these things that you can't change, the likelihood of you feeling worthless skyrockets, because you're depending on something you can't change or control to control how you feel about yourself. And I want to say it's human, because I go through the same things. But anytime I'm starting to feel down, I check my worth. And usually something outside of me is holding my worth, whether it be social media, whether it be a person, whether it be a thing, whether it be experience, it's holding my worth. And I said, no wonder I feel down, because these things are controlling how I feel. So if you can do anything for me today, I know there's a lot of things you can focus on that aren't going right in your life. I'm not telling you to ignore those things. I'm not telling you to act like those things don't exist. But if you can do anything today, just ask yourself that question. What is holding my worth? And this is just my belief, that God has to hold your worth. That's something that's permanent, that doesn't change, that's unconditional. See, a lot of us, we're allowing conditional things and people to hold our worth. So based upon who we are to them, based upon where we're at in that situation, determines whether they feel we're worthy or not. And when your worth is held by conditional things, conditional people, you're going to live an up and down emotional life, because you're allowing things outside of you to control you. When I give my worth back to God, when I recenter and refocus, and I make my worth permanent, it releases the pressure of trying to please everybody. It releases the pressure of trying to be something all the time, because that's exhausting. You know, some of us, we live our whole entire life trying to please things and people that we will never satisfy. Some of us, we lost ourselves trying to fake a perfection for things that will never be satisfied with who I am or with who you are. So I want you to just check your worth and put your worth into something that's more unconditional, and say, you know what, no matter who I am, no matter what I'm going through, no matter what's tied to my life, no matter if my life is up, if my life is down, no matter whatever, this thing that's holding my worth is still going to make me feel like I'm worth it. It's still going to let me know I'm special. It's still going to let me know I'm incredible. It's still going to let me know that I got more life to live. And I want to tell you that, man. I know some of you are suffering in silence. I know some of you might be at the verge of ending your life. I see my inbox. I think more than ever, people are tired. And I want to tell you not to give up. And I do want to tell you to take some responsibility and say, you know what? What would my happiest version of myself tell me to do? And I'm going to leave after this question. I want you to ask yourself this question today. What would the happiest version of yourself, right? The future you that's happy, that's smiling, that's loving life. What would that person, that version of you, because truth is you're going to meet a future version of yourself. Regardless, that's life. The future is coming for you. But what would that future version of yourself that's happy, that has peace, that has joy, tell you to let go of and tell you to start doing? That's life. My life changed when I got clear on that answer. I would talk to the future version of myself. I still do it. I did it today. I said, future Trent, happy version Trent, peaceful version Trent. What do you have to let go of? What do you have to start doing? And I just focused on one thing. So I said, okay, I got to let go of this. I got to start doing this. And it might not be anything major. It could be something very minor. It could be something major. But you got to take ownership and make a decision, make a choice. Because truth is, y'all, nothing changes if nothing changes, right? If you don't like your life, if you feel like, man, I feel just, you got to do something. If it's walking out on the trails, getting out in nature, I've been advocating for that for years. When I'm stressed, when I'm doubting myself, I get out here. It's something about nature, man, that replenishes my soul, that refreshes my spirit, that renews my life. And no matter what I'm going through, the situation doesn't change, but I still feel like, man, I feel more empowered. It gives me a perspective shift that says, hey, you might be going through this, but you're getting through this. This is going to change. A new chapter is coming for your life. A new beginning is coming for your life. As always, you're a choice away from a new beginning. That's it. You're a choice away. You're looking at a person that just made a choice and continues to make choices. That's it. You're a choice away from a new beginning, Beth. Mecca, you're a choice away. And I know that seems easier said than done. I know that seems too simple to sometimes apply, because you might say, Trent, okay, if I make this choice, I don't see anything in my life changing. And a lot of us, we're paralyzed by the how. We're paralyzed because we look in the future and we don't see the possibility. So we say, you know what? Why should I change? Why should I listen to Trent? I'm just going to keep living this life. I'm just going to keep complaining about this life. But you got to have a conversation with the future version of yourself, the empowered version of you. What would that person tell you? And it's that simple. And you make the hard choice, the hard decision, whatever that is for you. Like I said, it could be something minor. It could be the food that you eat. It could be you going to sleep earlier. It could be, you putting away your cell phone. Like, a lot of things play a part in this life of ours, from sleep to rest and to what we eat, to what we're around, like all the things. And so today on Memorial Day's tomorrow, but today just take time on this Sunday to reflect, like, all those holistic areas of your life and say, what changes could I make that I know would better my life? Because if you're in something, involved in something, around something that isn't conducive to what you want to do and what you want to become. And then it's about making a choice to say, you know what? I'm going to stop doing that. You know what? I'm going to start doing this. You know what? I'm going to stop eating that. You know, I'm going to eat like this. You know what? I'm going to wake up at this time. You know what? I'm going to go to sleep early. You know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And a lot of us say, man, it's too hard to do. But yet, we stay sick. Yet, we're stressed. Our body hurts. All these things, mentally, we're drained. Is that not harder? And I'm asking, is that not harder? Yes, it's hard to get out here and run some trails. Get out here and walk for an hour. Yes, it's hot. It's Texas. But you know what's harder? Is my body hurting? You know what's harder is mentally being foggy. That's harder for me. So I say, I'll go out here because at least I know in me doing this is going to better my life. I know in me doing this is going to lead me to something better. By me just accepting this is going to lead me to something worse. I wish life was just easy. We can just snap our fingers and things change. I wish it was like that. But unfortunately, it's not. It's not easy losing weight and getting into shape. It's not easy. But I had an honest conversation with myself. I said, Trent, yeah, but it's also not easy being unhealthy. You're getting older. It's not easy walking around, your body's hurting. Inflammation, you're tired. That's not easy neither. So I'm saying that because I know a lot of you have been doing this long enough. I know a lot of you are listening to me and saying, Trent, but it's hard. You don't understand, Trent. You don't understand. And by no means am I telling you, is this journey easy when you're feeling down and hopeless? I'm not. What I am telling you that it's possible to overcome. What I am telling you that you're capable of doing it. I know it because, again, you don't give yourself enough credit. All the things that you've been through and you're still here. That lets me know that you have possibility, that you have a relentless spirit inside of you. Even if you feel like, you're not living the life you want to live, you didn't give up. That is relentless. Even if you're not living the life you want to live and doing the things you want to do, you still haven't given up. So I'm proud of you for that. But when you can acknowledge who you are, your relentlessness, and your brilliant spirit that's inside you, when you can acknowledge that and start believing in that, and you create the energy of belief, that's when things change. That's when things change, and you believe to say, you know what? I am possible. I am peace. I am free. I love myself. And we hear these words, oh, it's just words, Trent, it's just words. What you speak into your life becomes your life. What you speak into your life becomes your life. As I would say it, what you feed your mind will grow in your soul. You tell yourself that you're not enough, you're going to believe that you're not. You tell yourself you can't enough, you're going to believe that you can't. You tell yourself that your life is over, you're going to start believing that. But if you tell yourself, you know what, I'm about to make a comeback. If you tell yourself, you know what, I'm stronger than what I think. If you tell yourself, nah, I am a beast. If you tell yourself those things, then guess what? Your brain, your life, your perspective starts to find supporting evidence of that. Your perspective shifts where you start seeing things differently. You know what I'm talking about. You ever been somewhere when you are in a different space, you go in the same place and you start to see things you never saw before that's been there because now you're looking for it? Or it's even listening to somebody else listen to my videos for like 1,000,000 times. Like, Trent, I've heard this video 10 times, but my life has changed and now I hear it differently. What happens is your perspective is shifting. And when your perspective shifts, you start to see things differently. When you speak life into your life, you start to see things differently. You start to find some important evidence of things to say, oh, now I see. But when you're in a dark place, when you keep feeding yourself death, when you keep strengthening your limitations, when you keep putting your prison in this perspective, you start to see things that don't work for you. And you never open up to the things actually that can work for your life. I'm just telling you, that's life, y'all. That's it. That's why I ask God, renew my mind, replenish my spirit. Every day, God, renew my mind. Because I know when my mind is renewed, I think differently, I see differently, my perspective powers me differently. And that's all I need. I just need to see possibility. Because when we see possibility, it's hard to feel hopeless. We feel hopeless because we don't see any possibility. We don't see things changing. We don't see things getting better. That's what hopelessness means. It's like, oh, no matter what I do, nothing is going to change. That's why we have to learn how to protect our peace by shifting our perspective. Your perspective is the most important thing in your life you have. Because when you hold a power perspective, you start to see a way out. And if you start to see a way out, you start to hold hope in your heart. And when you start to hold hope in your heart, you start to believe that you can make a change. And you take an action that moves you towards that change. And once you take that action, that chain reaction happens. That soul momentum is created as you're moving forward with your life. And you start to create some momentum in your life, some positive momentum to say, oh, I can do this. This is possible. And that belief starts to grow. And that's when you start to change. But you cannot sit in the same place. You cannot stay in the same place and expect things to change. Right? You have to put some action to your life. You got to. I wish we could do this and wake up and our life has changed. But before anything outside of you changes, what's inside of you has to change. A lot of us, we stay paralyzed in our suffering because we're waiting on an external change to happen. We're looking out and saying, okay, if this really works, Trent, then why isn't my situation changing? Why am I still here? Why am I still being this and that? And then you start to have hopelessness. And you say, well, why should I go try when nothing's taking place? I don't see any change. So I'm just going to keep doing the same thing because your way is not working. But the soul that understands the process knows that it's an internal change and shift inside of us, aka our perspective is shifted. And it takes time for the external to align with that. But as you start to change within, then things around you start to change. You start to crave different things. You start to be allergic to certain things. You stop trying to be around certain things and certain people. You start doing different things. And as you start making that change and shift, certain things start to take harvest in your life. But it is a process. And you're worth taking the process. You're worth it. You've been worth it. And you will forever be worth it. Please don't let anybody take that away from you. Please. Please don't let anything make you think that you're not. Anything. You got to hold on to that. You got to. You got to hold on to that perspective that I'm worth it. I've been worth it. I'm worth it because God created me. That's it. That's my measuring stick. It ain't about followers. It ain't about how people feel about me. I'm worth it because God created me. If God created me, I'm for sure not to allow anything in this world to control how I feel about myself. Because they ain't God. If God put me on this earth for a reason, sometimes that reason ain't clear. I understand that. But if God put me on this earth for a purpose, then I must be worth it. To be a part of his intricate plan, I must be worth something. So I refuse to allow anything outside of me to tell me what I'm worth. I refuse. And so I know it's hard when you're around it every single day. I know it's hard when you find support and evidence of your worthlessness every single day. But you got to make sure that when you start to feel like that, you got to make sure that, nah, I'm worth it. That's lying to me. Right? That person lying to me. That situation lying to me. Nah, I ain't gonna allow that to make me stop. At some point you stop. Right? At some point you stop. I'm gonna drive with y'all today. I'm gonna drive with y'all. I'm gonna be safe, but I'm gonna drive with y'all. At some point I gotta pick up this barbecue. You know what I mean? I'm a Texas boy, about to get this barbecue at the house. But at some point you stop, right? At some point, something took your creativity, your imagination, your faith, your hunger, your desire. Something took it away from you. I always say that. At some point, you can probably pinpoint it. You can probably put a pinpoint on your life and say, man, this was the moment that started me feeling like I wasn't enough. And for some of us, it came earlier than we wanted to come. Some of us, it came as children. Some of us, like in my life, it came as later as a young man. And your job is to go back and get your worth. Your job today is to go back and say, you know what? That was a time in my life that's not going to define my life. That was a season in my life that's not going to control my life. No more. Right? It happened. That's a chapter. Don't let the chapter become your story. Don't let it become your story. So you got to go back and get your worth. Like that thing lied to you. That thing didn't understand how incredible you were or are. Hold on, y'all. Woo. You know what I mean? So I want to give y'all that message. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm proud of you. And I know sometimes, you know, it's hard to hear these words because when you're, I know when you're in this situation, it's like, I want to believe it, but it's so hard to believe. But you got to. Like, give yourself a fighting chance at this life. The only way you're going to give yourself a fighting chance is that you control what you give yourself. You can't control what other people try to give you. You can't control what this world tries to put on you. You can't control what people say about you. Like, I can't control somebody coming into this chat and say, Trent, you suck. I hate you. You're terrible. I can't control that. I mean, I can block them, but I can't control it. And so I refuse to, again, put my worth in the conditions that I can't control. That's just not something I'm not going to do. And for a lot of us, literally our worth is living in the things that we can't control. And that's why we're so dependent on a lot of outside things making us feel worthy inside of ourselves. My life changed when and I still struggle at times, y'all, but I'm a lot better. But my life really changed when I stopped depending on outside things